Hey everyone, it's randomnoob, and today I'm making my 2.04 patch notes review. We're gonna start off with balance because I think that's what a lot of people care about when they're going through the patch notes from a pro. But so let's get right into it. Let's start off right away. First off, there's a pretty big change with Pip's Evil Mojo emoji snack time. They're changing how crowd control works. I don't really know exactly how this is gonna work yet until we test around with it a little bit. I haven't really gotten much chance to play PTS because of PPL and stuff like that. Like next week, we're playing on the current patch, so really doesn't pay for me to test out mechanics like that. But it says there's no longer a concept of superior crowd control and superior crowd control immunity. Now there's only crowd control and crowd control immunity. So what I'm guessing is like Inara's DR and just like pretty much anything that makes you CC immune, Pip's Evil Mojo won't go through anymore. So like Rock Totem will just completely negate Pip's Evil Mojo, which I think is honestly a really good change because it was really confusing on what went through what. There was like 3-4 different levels of CC immunity. I think just making it clear cut to the players in general is better for the most part. And also, some of these abilities were kind of broken. Like Pip's Evil Mojo was just going through a lot of CC immunities. Was kind of busted. So now that there's so much more counterplay, I think Evil Mojo is a lot more balanced of an ability, which probably makes Pip a pretty weak character. Actually, I think he's already kind of on the weak levels. He's decent for sure. He's playable, but I mean, as you can see, like if you guys are keeping up with PPL, there really wasn't much Pip being picked at all. I don't think we picked him once in our tournament matches so far. Navi picked him a little bit, I think. Or did Navi pick them? I don't think they did. Yeah. But either way, I think this is a really good change. I think it's definitely better for the game. Removing all these like weird, questionable, like when is this CC immune? When am I not CC immune? Stuff like that. Good stuff. Good change. Really, that's actually like pretty interesting because that wasn't really a change that people were talking about. So I think it's pretty awesome the devs are making changes like that and knowing that they don't need to be told by the community. They don't need to be told by the pro players. They just like know their game really well. I mean, that proves it. Like the balance right now is pretty good. Alrighty, so moving on to Ashe. Ashe is getting a health reduction from 4,900 to 4,500. As they say in the developer commentary, she kind of had a abnormal amount of health compared to other tank heroes. So, bringing her down in line is definitely good because then you can do more things with her, buff other things about her kit, maybe buff her damage or whatever. But just the fact that she had that much more health didn't really make much sense to me, especially because she has a health card that a lot of people run. Like, people are running that at 3 and 4 points and not really missing out on any points in their actual decks with most cards. Obviously, Shield Ashe needs a little bit more points into her cards, but overall, I think it brings her into place with the rest of the tanks. She still has a health card that she can use and bust up over 5k HP, which is pretty nuts. I'd say that Ashe probably because of this is probably one of a weaker tank. Like if you were looking at the top teams like us in the last patch and Navi this patch, we really kind of weren't picking Ashe that early. We were letting her fall later in the drafts. So that means she's probably not as good as people really think she is, even with her insane ult, which I still don't understand why that stuns for 2 seconds, but whatever. So yeah, I think this is a really good change, solid change. Pretty happy with this. Definitely a change in the right direction. I think Ashe might actually need a little bit of buffs after this, because 400 health is quite a bit. I mean, there's times where tanks live at 350 HP and get out and get healed up to full and stuff like that. So this definitely is a pretty big change. I think it's probably going to throw her down really far in the drafts. I don't think she's going to be unplayable. I think she's definitely going to be viable in the pro meta, but maybe not as highly prioritized. Moving on to Drogos. So Drogo's actually got a decent amount of buffs. I guess they consider buffs. It says during his thrust, Drogos will inherit more momentum when using boosters shortly after thrust. Like I said, I haven't really had a chance to test out a lot of this stuff yet, but that should be a good change. Hopefully that feels fluid. I know sometimes with Drogos, with the thrust and stuff like that, it doesn't really feel that fluid. Hopefully this one does, because if it does, I think that'll make Wormjets a lot better. I think it'll make Fusillade a lot better, and I think it'll make Combustible a lot better. So really, it's a pretty good change across the board, depending on how much it is. They also increased the range on Decimate from 8% to 15%. Maybe it'll make this card playable, because honestly, this card was just complete garbage. Just complete garbage. at 8%. Maybe 15% will be enough to make it good. If you guys don't know what Decimate is, it's the one that increases the salvo range. Because they nerfed it and then they reworked how Decimate worked because it did more damage to shields or something like that. So I don't know if this really makes this card viable. I still think it's probably not going to be played in 99% of Drogo decks, considering the rest of his cards are just better. Salvo, I don't think increasing the range really makes it... You know what? Maybe this will be a 1 or 2 of. I don't know. This card actually might be played now. Even at 5, it felt pretty bad, so I guess you probably have to put 3 in. That still feels like a lot, considering that Drogo's as a health card. You really want to run 3 to 5 points in. We'll see. This is kind of hard to tell right now. But my gut feeling is that it's probably bad. But, if you want to, use your salvo, fire spit combos more, and you think that's good for Drogo, feel free. I'll pour it to you. I think it's definitely good now. I don't want to say it's good, but it's definitely playable now, I guess you could say. Moving on to Grok, Outreach description updated to probably represent radius increase, which that's more like a bug fix. I don't think that's really a buff, because it's not doing anything, so Grok stays the same. I don't think Grok's a great champion, so it's probably just bad. I mean, I've seen it work. Like, some people are running like Heal Totem, Grok, and Casual, and it's working. As far as the pro meta, doesn't seem that great. Grover is getting some nerfs. More nerfs. Interesting. We already saw this week in PPL that Grover kind of was falling out a little bit. People aren't picking him nearly as highly. Like, he's not banned every game, not first picked every game. And I think he's probably balanced now. Like, he's just on par with the rest of the healers. And now he's getting another nerf to his cripple duration decreased from 2 seconds to 1 second. To be honest, I don't know if Grover really needed this. I think him having the cripple was a cool counterplay thing to certain champions like Ruckus or Eevee. But I mean, I would have liked to see this change last patch, where Grover's healing was insane. Like, he didn't really need this, but like, now that Grover's healing is kind of balanced a little bit, I think maybe keeping the cripple duration at 2 seconds was fine. I don't hate this change because, not being able to use your mobility kind of sucks, and it still does have some kind of, utility in a game, but I don't really think Grover needed this. I think Grover could have stayed exactly how he is and be fine, but it doesn't hurt. It's not a bad change. I understand why they did it, and I'm okay with it. Moving on to Koga. Koga's getting the nerf hammer hard again. Champion's basically dead. He was already dead before the nerfs, in my opinion. This champion's just hardcore dead now. I don't know, like, just nerf across the board to all 3 talents. Reduce bonus 50% to 30%. I'm thinking he's talking about movement speed, because agility is his movement speed ability when you're out of claws. I don't know. This really just seems like dead Koga to me. Koga wasn't that fun to play against for a lot of people, so I understand why they're doing this, but I don't think he needed this at all. I think he was probably fine where he is. I think he's, I don't know. Now he just has no mobility and just dies really fast. He's just like a terrible Eevee at this point. Just a terrible Eevee. I don't know. I don't hate the change. I mean, I think maybe I do hate the change, because it's just, he didn't really need this. I think this might be a knee-jerk reaction from like 2 patches ago, where everyone like didn't know how to play against Koga, didn't really know what to do against him. Forgot to hit okay for that. So yeah, I'm not a huge fan of this, but I'm not gonna lie, I see some Koga buffs coming in the future. So please, people, Koga's bad. If Koga gets a few minor tweaks, little buffs, don't feel bad, because right now he's garbage. He's literally F tier in my opinion. Actually, not that. He's not that bad, but he's bad. Moving on to Leon. Leon had a precision buff. Okay, after looking it up, basically this is just wrong. It was damage per shot increased 2% to 6. Max percent increased 16% to 25%. So this is just an incorrect tooltip. They're actually making it increase 9 more percentage at max shots hit. I still think this is bad, just considering how good Eminence is. I really wouldn't run this talent. Maybe, possibly, if you're just like insane at aiming, you never miss, that this might be worth. But in my eyes, I still think Eminence is probably the best talent. But this definitely makes this talent a little bit more viable. There might be situations where people are like, hey, it's a short map, let's go precision instead of Eminence. Maybe. I'm not saying for sure. Because I don't know how this exactly works. If this scales off shields. If this scales off shields, maybe, you know, if they have a lot of shielding and you want to go Wrecker, it's possible that could be pretty good, actually. Moving on to Maeve. The heal now triggers on cast instead of hit for Savagery. I wish they would explain this stuff more. I gotta look it up. So Savagery, Pounce heals you for 70 health per level on a successful hit. So that's going to be 70 times 5. That'll be 350 HP on cast. That actually might be not bad. I could actually see this being pretty good in a Pounce build. Now that you don't have to hit it, because really you don't really want to use Pounce for damage. Like, even as in the execute build, you want to use Pounce for mobility for the most part, unless you're like about to execute someone. Overall, I actually, you know, think this is a really big buff. Just when cards are on cast instead of hit, it's just always a net positive. It's like gonna go off 100% of the time instead of like 60% or 50%. This card was pretty bad. I mean, I think maybe some people were running it. I tried it. I didn't think it was very good. Now I think this definitely could be, you know, a card used in Maeve decks. I could see Maeve. I mean, Maeve was already like on the edge of viability. The other flanks were just a little bit better than her. And this might throw her over the top. Probably not, just because it's not really like a staple card. If this was like a staple card, I'd be like, boom, Maeve's back in the meta. We're seeing Maeve. But it's really hard to tell on that one. I'd say there's a good chance that it's probably played now, just because people are already running like Pounce decks and Maeve with the card that executes. I can't remember the name off the top of my head. And also, she had a Prowl increased duration to 5 seconds, which is pretty solid. I mean, it's just a straight up buff to Prowl if you need it for that long. I mean, most of the time, I never really got to the 4-second max duration anyways. But just having that option of just getting an extra second, it's not bad. I think these buffs are pretty decent. I don't know if I would have done this to Maeve. I think I would have changed Maeve a little different. I actually don't know what I would have done to Maeve. I think she needs a damage buff again. I think she needs her old dagger damage back. I think her damage is just too weak. I think her poke is just so negligible from long range that she needs a little bit more damage, because even if you hit all your daggers with the amount of healing in the game right now, it just doesn't do anything. So I think, really, honestly, she needs a damage buff. That's my opinion. Pip, Evil Mojo, ability no longer affects CC immune targets. We already talked about that above. Pretty much the same thing I thought about earlier, like where I think this probably drops Pip really far down in the viability charts. Like I said, he already wasn't picked that much. And the only reason he was picked is because of his ult. So, buy ult, buy Pip. See ya. Skye, debilitate, percent damage decrease from 30 to 25%. That's her talent decrease. I think this is fine. I think it's a pretty decent change. She was doing a lot of damage to people with high HP, like Koga ulting and stuff like that. Like, I think it's a great counter, but she might have been doing a little bit too much. She could just sit back and snipe poison bullets all game and be pretty effective. I think it kind of sucked because Skye was already a bad character, but I just think, for me, any stealth characters getting nerfs is fine, because I just don't think stealth is a good mechanic in any game, really. It's just not fun to play against. It feels really OP to play with if it's good. So it's just one of those things where it feels really bad to play against, and it's either too OP or just bad. It's just a weird mechanic. I'm cool with like stealth champions being not that good. So, I mean, for me, this change is fine. I don't really think it's going to do much. I think Skye in casuals already gets played a lot. In pro play, she doesn't get played at all. Well, sometimes. Sometimes she gets played. But not very often. And for me, I think this is just a solid change overall. Don't really have a problem with it. I'm cool with it. Alright, heading on to Xin. Xin had a ton of changes this patch. A ton, as you can see. Let's just run through it first, then we'll talk about exactly how I think this is going to affect him. First off, Billow, they're changing the duration from 2.5 seconds at base to 1.5 seconds, but they are increasing the movement speed. And also, they're reducing the lockout time after the ability ends, so like, when you ended your Billow, it would take like a second to counter and people could kill you. Now I'm assuming, it wasn't a second, but it was like a half second, but now I'm assuming that the lockout time is probably going to be instant, where you're going to be able to get a counter off right away. So it might make you more survivable out of your Billow. But the fact that your Billow duration is getting decreased by that much, and they're also reducing the hideout card down here. They're just getting rid of the hideout card, which increased your Billow duration. up to like, I think 4.5 seconds was the max build duration, which is pretty nuts. Pretty freaking nuts. So now on activation, reduce the cooldown on a whirl by 1 to 5 seconds. I think this card's terrible. It's terrible, but it might see play. That's just how bad I think Zin's gonna be. And also Smolder had a healing increase, which is whatever, because I think with a good healer you never ran Smolder anyways, so this pretty much isn't gonna do anything. I think you can make this heal you to full HP instantly, and I still think it would be pretty meh. Well, actually, now this is even war bad because the duration of Billow is less, and you don't have Hideout anymore. So I guess this will heal you to full HP. Wait, right? So healing per second, 33%. Is that saying it'll heal 33% of your HP? I'm not exactly sure how it's gonna work. Either way, I think it's bad. Like, you're gonna get healed to full by a healer anyways in Billow. So my initial thoughts about Zin right now is that Zin is gonna be garbage. I already think he was kind of falling out of favor for a lot of people, including myself. He wasn't really doing, like, when he first came into the meta, I don't think people really realized how to play against him. Now that people know how to play against him some more, he's really falling out already, and that's with long Billow. So I don't know. For me, it's just, I think this is a fair change. Like, honestly, this is a really fair change. I always thought the fact that Zins could alter their Billow duration, like, I would constantly alter my Billow duration from 5 to 4 points because people wouldn't be able to play against it then. They'd be like, oh, is he coming out now, or is he coming out in 4? Like, it was really hard to get used to the timing. So I actually think this is a really good change. Like, it's just a smart change to make Billow's duration equivalent across the board because it creates a lot more, counterplay with it. But I do think that this really kills Zin as a character because the only reason he was good is because of long Billow duration and a ton of movement speed. And the fact that that's not there anymore, my gut feeling makes me think Zin's going to be just a garbage character next patch. I think he'd probably be decent, like, playable and casual. Like, you'll be able to get away with him. He's a fun character, but I think for the most part, he's just going to be bad. So, like, in terms of pro meta and stuff like that, I don't see him getting played much. But, I think in casuals or ranked, you can probably still get him to work a little bit. Pretty fair. So I guess that's the end of the balance. Overall, I think it was a pretty good patch for balance changes. I didn't really hate any balance changes, except for maybe the Koga one, just because you really didn't need it. There was some good stuff in here. I think the Ashe change was definitely good. I think the Zin change was for the better. The Pip change was for the better. And I think there was enough changes the last few patches, so we might, probably do another tier list. So if you guys like the tier list content, make sure you stay tuned for that. I'll probably do it after our games this week because we play PPL this week. I'll probably do it after just because I don't want to, give away any potential strats. Not like I would really because, it's just a tier list, but just to be safe. So we'll probably expect that like next weekend. So let's move on to the rest of the patch. So obviously this video is kind of getting a little long for a patch notes review, so we're just going to run through the skins real quick and we'll probably call it for that. There are bug fixes towards the end. If you guys want to check them out, great. There's some good stuff in there, but I'm not going to really take some time in the video for it. So we're just going to run through the skins. Starting off with the Ashe skin. I think this Ashe skin's sick. The little plushie is just so badass. I mean, that's based off Thunderbrush's dog, I guess he said. But it's just really cool. I really like the whole theme of these skins. I think across the board it's pretty sick. If I had to give my favorite, it'd probably be the Maeve skin, but I don't really like this tail. The tail and the head don't really give me like a cat vibe, more like a wolf vibe. I wish they would, hopefully they change that because I think the skin is badass besides the tail. I think the tail just needs a little work. I really like everything about it though, like besides that. And then the other skins were Ying and Skye. I think they're both pretty sick as well. I don't know why they all have plushies. I'm not really exactly sure why the plushie was the main theme, but whatever. I think the street style stuff is sick. And by the way, guys, I have leaks. And there's pretty cool skins coming out later that aren't these, so better keep your eyes out. Because, like, just with how much they're stepping up their skin game recently, because overall, I think these skins are some of the best skins I've ever had. The last few patches, they've just been awesome. So for these, my favorite skin is probably the Maeve skin if they didn't have the tail. So I'd have to say Ashe. I think the Ashe skin is just freaking badass. I mean, it makes sense they put it first because it's just it just gives me a good Ashe vibe, right? Like I just get that Ashe vibe when I see it, right? I get the vibe from Maeve too, but just the tail. The tail is the only reason. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think about the skins. There also was some sprays and stuff like that. I don't know. I really don't care much about the sprays, but some cool stuff. I really like this border though. The border's pretty sick. They have a dab chicken spray. Okay, all right. Oh, the sprays are decent. They're cool. I mean, people that like this stuff, I think they'll like these. Like, this animated avatar is pretty cute. They did some different quests for the event. Aim training thing. Ooh, the aim training thing that they're doing in the training range. That's pretty cool. I think right now, what it looks like, you probably can't edit it at all. Like, if you can edit it, like, change speeds and make it, like, blaster friendly or, like, hit scan friendly, it'd be really sick. I think that's probably coming in the future patches. Oh, wait, exit and re-enter to change extra. So maybe they do have different stuff in there. Interesting. All right. I'm excited to see this. This is really cool. I think it's just a cool quality of life thing that they did. It's just nice when the devs think of their players with stuff like this. I really like that. It's cool stuff. Custom games with a pause button. That's big for people who play customs, like pro players and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. Also, it's not in here, but they do have a bank timing added to ranked. I know there was a lot of hate coming from that, but just so you guys know, it's 40 seconds for the whole ranked draft, and I think it's better for everyone. Like, if someone doesn't know exactly what to pick, they'll get an extra 40 seconds for that pick. Excuse me, where they can talk to their team and stuff like that. So I think overall it's a really cool thing they're doing, and it's really going to help pro teams and customs and stuff like that. So I think that's a really good change. I think you guys will like it after a while. So don't hate it off the right of the bat just because you're like, oh, I have to wait an extra 40 seconds. I think it'll help you guys get better team comps, and maybe that extra 40 seconds doesn't waste the next 20 minutes because your team has a trash comp, right? So, think about it like that. There's also some, which I don't know if this is a Twitch Prime skin. Oh, this is the Legionnaire pack. A Legionnaire Atlas skin. Pretty badass. I saw this skin at High Res the other day. I was blown away. Pretty sick skin. Definitely worth it, 100%. But my favorite skin of the patch, by far, the Twitch Prime Pyre Warrior Drogos. Got my one trick right here, and I saw this skin at on the dev client last week, and I was just blown away. I was like, this skin is sick. I was talking to Garrett. I was like, dude, this skin's so badass, man. It's awesome. And it's pretty sick that it's a Twitch Prime skin, so everyone who has Twitch Prime gets it. It's pretty badass. I really love this skin. This is definitely, as long as it's not banned in comp, this is definitely going to be my Drogo skin of choice. 100%. It's just so sick across the board. Just American Drogos. It's beautiful. Good stuff. Good stuff, Thunderbrush and team. Good stuff. Also, a Golden Vivian's released now. Cool stuff for everyone who likes Vivian. I don't like that champion, so let's see. Yeah, so there's bug fixes, and that's about it. Some map stuff like that. Destroying a shield, that's a pretty good chance. I mean, there's a lot of good bug fixes in here. Like, just seeing how long this bug fix stuff is and the under investigation stuff is really good. I mean, I think it's really proving to the community. I mean, shout out to the Terminus fixes. There was some decent stuff in here, I heard. I don't think they fixed where he's moving when he ults yet, which is pretty much the biggest issue with Term so far. But yeah, overall, I think it's a pretty good patch. Really happy with the patches so recently. Like, I don't think I've had a patch this year where I was just like, dude, this patch sucks, Like, I've had that in the past with Paladins, where like, but this year it's just been good patch after good patch after good patch. So it's good stuff. Good stuff. I'm really happy with the direction of the game right now. That's why I'm doing some Battle Pass giveaways in my Discord and also on Gleam. So check those out if you guys haven't. I just want to support the game, so I'm, spending some of my own hard-earned cash on this game. Because, like, when the game's going in a good direction, I want to support that. Like, when cards unbound and stuff like came out like that, I didn't spend a dime on the game for a reason, because I don't support when games go in bad directions. I want to support games when they do go in good directions, like right now. Like, I know matchmaking's had some issues recently, but I think that's just like growing pains when you do stuff like bug fixes and stuff like that. I think experienced players leave for a little bit and they'll come back when the game's fixed. So I think it's really great overall, and I want to support this direction because, for real, like the skins, the gameplay, the content has been top notch. The balance, it's been really good. So shout out to the devs. And like I said, I'm gonna probably do a tier list video soon. And yeah, I think that's it. I think it's a pretty good patch notes review. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And stay tuned for the next video. All right, peace.